Good morning and welcome to Fat Cow Farm. Now, finally, the rain has stopped, and we've done some calculations over that winter period to see, how much rain we actually had. Believe it or not, we're sitting at around about that 550 mil mark. Like, no good. We got flooded through here, through the chicken coop, but great for the soil now that it's slowly coming to sink in. The sun's finally out, and we're now ready for our vegetables up here in the chicken coop. So we're in garden bay number 2, and we're only about a month behind putting stuff in. So it's just been absolutely crazy with the weather. But in saying that, what I've got here is we've got our mulch ready to go. We'll set up our beds. So we'll do our standard bed and put the irrigation in, put the mulch on top. We'll let it rest for a week, and then we'll start planting out. Now, I've also got some little treats from last year that we've kept the seeds. And what we're going to do, and I'll show you this later on, over in garden bed number 5, we're going to shut that one down today. We're going to quickly turn it over with the broad fork, but not make any beds. So we're just going to have a mass population. Our ground cover are going to be pumpkin seeds. So that'll be all the way through. And our top cover, we kept a few seed heads from our sunflowers from last year. So we'll put those in as a part of the higher story cover through there. But then again, two-pronged attack again is that we've got the bees will come through, and then what we'll end up then doing is then keeping these seeds for next year to increase our crop again and again and again. So really what I want to achieve is that our beds, what are we looking at, 4, 5 and 6, for that summer crop, I want to protect those soils, and I just want to do a mass sunflower all through one side, and then on our ground cover do the pumpkins. So what we're going to be doing this year is a bit of an experiment to see if it actually does come through that way, and so if so, fantastic, because it will look awesome. And then what we'll do is then run it completely for next year. So I've got a bit of work ahead of me getting these garden beds right. As most of you would already know, we've already got the irrigation set up because we're just using that profiled system all the way through. The other summer vegetable garden, which is bay number 3, that's still really wet. So I'm hoping that, within about that 3-week period, that would have dried out, and then we can start planting out in that as a part of our second rotation. And what I've now got here in my hot little hand is another summer mix from Eden Seeds, and that'll be going back into number 1. All right, so we'll get a cover crop in here, vegetable garden in this one, vegetable garden in that one in about, hopefully about 3 weeks. Sunflowers and pumpkins over in our winter one as a part of the ground cover, green manure, so to speak. And over in bay number 4, we've still got our garlic coming up. So I'm just waiting for that, and that should be around about the new year period, a little bit before. And we'll take those out, and then we'll release the chickens in there, and they can start cleaning that one up. So full on garden time now. We're sort of chasing our tails a little bit, but I'll go through the process and show you where we're at as we go through, and I'll come and find you, and we'll see you soon. All right, so here we are. We've made up our beds, same as years before, and we've got our irrigation in. But I just wanted to show you now how the soil is turning out. Now, obviously, we're a bit damp here still from underneath, but that's holding together really well. And what I'm really stoked about is now the colour. Now, remembering this has been 2 years now since we've had this system up and running, and this was purely just pasture, and we were very, very clayey, you know. So, you know, the colors have gone from that sort of light dark brown color. Now with all the chicken manure and carbon and everything's decomposing, and compost and everything else that's going on here, and especially the chickens turning it all up, and worms, you know, like there's millions and millions of worms. We're actually starting to build a proper soil. So I'm really hoping that this year it's just going to get better and better and better with our harvests. And I'd almost be thinking now that you know, with this is pretty much the levels where I wanted them. Like we were, you can't even see. Well, we've got a board running along the back here. That was pretty much the level where I wanted to be. Now, in the previous year, we were probably about 100 mil, or a bit under that. And so we've now built up a lot of soil. And what I'm now hoping is that not only are we making our own soils here, but I'm going to be able to take soil out, which is going to sort of amplify a little bit more about where we start putting our soils and building proper composting soils naturally. You know, so the chickens come through and scratch around and everything else and let it break down. So, you know, when it comes time to structure the garden beds, you know, this is already, what's that? That's probably about 250, 300 mil high. That's ample. And so what we're going to be looking at is actually starting to take soil out. So when we make up our garden beds, all the excess soil, gone. And we'll start putting them under all our fruit trees and making some more propagation and things like that. So I'm really pumped up about how well the soil's been put together. Now we're going to let this rest now for a week, and then we'll start planting out. I've got some the hay or some old grass clippings and everything else that's all turned. So I'm just going to lay that over everything now and protect the soils. We'll put the irrigation on over this period of time, probably about every second day, you know, just to give it that little bit of a hit, probably around about 20 minutes, just to keep that moisture in the soil. And next week we're planting out. So I'm looking forward to it. Got to let all these worms settle in a bit. So, hey, it's all good here at Fat Cow Farm. Now we've still got to go across over to bay number 5 and get that ready for the sunflowers and pumpkins and things like that. We're going to try that. And I'm going to throw another spring mix next door in number 1 because we're resting that. So I've got a few other bits and pieces. I'll come and find you, and I'll see you soon. All right, so here we are in garden bay number 1. Now, we've had a little bit of a change of mind where what we'll do is we're going to put the cover crop of pumpkins in here. Now, these are the seeds from last year. So, you know, we're not expecting all of them to germinate, but pretty much we're just going to bit of a random sprinkle all over the place. And mate, you know, we'll just see what happens. Worst case scenario is that we'll end up having a pumpkin stall. Otherwise, you know, there'll be enough for us. So if anyone's coming by the Tatong, there'll be free pumpkins for everyone. Now in my other hot little hand here, we've got last year's sunflower seeds. And what we'll do here is exactly the same. So we're just going to throw those around. And the reason we thought we would do this bay is because it gets more of the sun, longer hours. So we thought we would give this a bit of a crack. And what we'll then do is then put the Eden's green manure on the bay across. But as you can see, what I'll do is I'll rake those seeds in, and then I've got some old mulch and hay still from the chicken coop from under their roost. I'm going to spread that around. We'll give it a good water, and we're not going to irrigate this one, so we're just going to leave it al natural, and we'll just sort of see how it all pans out, and we'll just let the the natural environment take care of what it needs to do. So I was looking at the radar just before, and we've got, you know, things like 5 mil, 6 mil randomly coming every third to fourth day, and I think that that would be enough. And at the morning too, the dew point is actually still quite high, so we've got dew below 12 degrees. Most of our evenings are sitting around about 8, so we're still going to get a lot of that dew come on in and rest over the mulch here, and then just keep that mulch will stay moist during the evening, ready for the next day. And you know, by about lunchtime I would think that that's going to be dry, but that's slowly going to seep back into the soil. So, you know, here we are. Like I said, we're going to rest this one, but something a little bit different where we think that we can do a cover crop with pumpkins, you know, and let's see what happens, you know. And we'll have our higher story being the sunflowers, great for the bees, and the chickens love them. So, you know, even, I don't know, we get 20 or 30 sunflowers come up, that'll be ample for us. And then at least that way the chickens have got a heap of feed, we've got a heap for next year, and to start expanding our seed portfolio so that we can run a larger area. So for all about your summer vegetables and getting your chicken coop organised, getting your veggie garden number 2 squared away, getting your cover crops, and trying something new as a part of a cover crop, like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.